Well, voting in South Africa's national election is well underway in the United Kingdom. Holly Hudson is in London today, monitoring queues there. We're live to her now. Good afternoon, Holly. Welcome to the SABC News Desk. The rain seems to have been cleared, behind you. What's happening right now? How is voting progressing today?
Well, we're in Trafalgar Square right now, and there's so much happening here. There's a festival to the right of me. I've just seen climate change protesters, Extinction Rebellion go past, and in amongst all of that, there are 9,000 South Africans who have turned out to vote here at the embassy. I mean, you might see a little gap here in the queue behind me, but just behind me, right up there, the queue is snaking around. Thousands have turned out as expected. Overall, around 30,000 people, South Africans overseas, have been registered to vote, and a third of those will be here in London. So as expected, the queues are very long, around a 2-hour wait we're being told at the moment, but generally things are running smoothly. There have been a lot of changes put into place by the Electoral Commission which seem to be having an effect, and a lot of praise here for the High Commission and for the voting process itself.
Holly, 9,000 South Africans due to vote today. Things do seem to be moving along much smoothly than what I recall from 5 years ago. Might that have something to do with the new High Commissioner in place at all?
Yes, well, it is obviously her first election. I was speaking to her earlier. She was very happy with how things are going here. As I mentioned, a lot of measures put in place by the Electoral Commission, extra staff drafted in from Pretoria. The vote itself has been moved from a Wednesday to a Saturday in the hope that people that might have been at work or had a difficult journey to London are able to have an easier journey here. We're seeing people from all over the UK, not just London, make the trip here. They're very keen to have their say and make their voices heard in an election that they're describing as extremely.
Holly, what's the mood like today among the South Africans that have turned out to make their mark in this crucial election? You were telling us earlier there's a lot of boerie rolls and biltong you see in the queues.
Yes, well, there are 48 parties on the ballot paper here. The voting process itself, as I've said, has been made a lot easier. From what the people that I've spoken to, as yet, I'm yet to see any supporters outside of the DA and the ANC, but we are told that there is a contingent here. Obviously, we know that the DA overseas does hold a majority. Last time round in 2014, they had 84%. They had 84% of the votes, the ANC garnering just over 1,000. But their campaigns have been mobilising, we're being told. The ANC London leader saying they've been targeting places outside of the UK. The DA have been telling me that they have been campaigning all year round. So we'll have to wait and see until after the 8th of May, the general election in South Africa itself, exactly which way London votes.
We can see a very clear presence of DA and ANC supporters behind you on camera there in their green and gold and blue T-shirts, of course. But what can you tell us about the smaller parties and the impact they're having on voters in the UK right now?
They are hoping the ANC to make some gains here. As I said, they have been mobilising. They've been targeting areas outside of the UK. The ANC leader here did tell me, obviously, he's aware that they're outnumbered, but the DA do hold favour here. But he is hoping that their campaign will have made some changes. And of course, since last time around, Cyril Ramaphosa has become president. He's hoping that he has helped change some attitudes as well.
You've been speaking to voters in the queues today, snaking queues like you tell us. What is the general mood and the expectations of South Africa living in the UK right now? What do they want to see happen back home in the new dispensation?
Well, what I'm hearing from the South Africans here is that they want change, whether they're voting for the ANC, for the DA or the EFF, any of the parties. What they want to see is change. While they may live here in the UK, they have friends back home, they have family, business interests, and they may even move back there at some point. So the reason that they're out here today is not only to exercise their democratic right, of course it is Freedom Day here, and that is something that isn't lost on anybody, including the High Commissioner. They're very keen to see that there's change, whether they move back for themselves, for their family. That's the universal message that we're getting.
How are South African expatriates living in the UK right now? How do they relate to a day like Freedom Day being celebrated back home here in South Africa? And how much of meaning does it hold for them still while they live abroad?
There is a lot of hope. That's another message that is coming through here. They're very hopeful that things back home will change. What they want to see in particular is an end to any corruption and a change in the infrastructure in particular. But as I said, the kind of key message across the board here is that they want change, whether that's for themselves when they move home or for their friends or family or in terms of their business interests.
Hudson joining us there from London in the United Kingdom, where about 9,000 South Africans are due to turn up and make their mark today.